So I'm picking up. This is part two of that part 4A or whatever you want to think. Part two of part 4 of it, and picking up where we left off with this thing. One of the things that when you write a code, you can put everything in one source code. That'll work too as well. In 1437, you're going to be writing the class separately. You're going to be writing the demo, which is instantiate that class to create the object, which is a separate class with it. So here we go. Let me minimize this, and I'm going to come down here. I want to talk to you about, we're going to go into this code, and I would like for you to look at this code, and what I'd like for you to do is we're going to go in, and I'd like for you to take a look at this code. You're not going to write anything with it, so you're going to create what's called the rectangle class. It's going to have the width and height as a data member. You're going to see me do this, and you're going to write a member function to input, meaning to write, to a width and height, and you're going to actually write a member function with both of these things. Anything when you write to it, it becomes what? It's a void. Okay, so you're going to assign things to take the width times the height. Basically, it's going to get you the area. And then you're going to write that function, main function, to create the object. What's that word when we create the object? To instantiate that object with it, which is called what? A rectangular object with the same. So same thing. It's one project. You're going to exclude your main_3. Create a new C++. Make it a your main_4. And this is what it goes. It goes like this. It's just a really short snippet code for you to see what's going on with the thing. So you have your basic skeleton, pound include, IOStream using namespace, and you have your int main and return 0 in here. The difference is, here's the difference. You're going to write your class up here, and then you write your function, and then you have your main. Okay? Let me go over that one more time. You're going to write your class first. So let me pull that up here. You're going to write your class first. This is your class. This is that rectangular class. Remember now, there's only one front door to this program. That's called your int main. That's where it's going to come down. It's going to call these functions as it comes up with it. So here's your class. Your class is called rectangle. Inside your class, you're going to declare two attributes, two fields. Int with the data type, width and height. Inside class, you declare a function, a void function, that's a set value. This is a public, meaning what? You will get a chance to access to pass in. The function name is set. This set value pass across two parameters. That is an int. I can write int A, int B in here, doesn't matter. C++ is kind of loose enough you can actually get away with this thing. So int is the data type. This is the second with this thing. Guess what this is? My first one has to be the width. In this case, there's the width and height. It's not going to make a big difference. But in other functions, you got to pass the same signature as everything comes across with it. So make sure you do pass the right sequence in here. Width and height is not going to make a big difference in this thing for a rectangle. So this, I assume, will be your width, and this one will be your height. Okay. So here we go. You're going to see that inside of this you have a, what is this? What is this? This is a value function. Look at this. This value function is called area. How do I know? Function name. Here's the width and height. Okay. This width, you could see, is this width. This height is this height. Now, you notice I clicked on it. It highlights not only the scope of this curly bracket of the rectangular class, but it also highlights, goes inside of this particular height. How does it know to do that? Why? Look at this class right here. It's called rectangle. I highlight this rectangle, and it highlights all of the rectangular class in here. But look at this one. : this is how you access in C++ the what? The methods that you just wrote. The function is called setValue. This function setValue allows you to do what? So this is basically And here you will use this rectangle. Access this template. How do I access this template? By using the colon, accessing the methods. Inside this particular method, you notice that this is int, and x. This one is equivalent to this one right here. This int y is equivalent to this second int. This is what we call as binding. Remember how we overload functions a few minutes ago with it? Same thing. So this is your class. This is all your class with it. In your class, you have basically a width and height field, and you have a public void set value, meaning what? This is a particular member function which allows you to write what's inside of your fields to it. Okay. Look at this. Like I said, void means what? You're writing things, you're assigning things, you're passing things into the memory with it. So you're using what's called a rectangle. This rectangle class is this rectangle class. And to access its members, you will use the colon in C++. You're going to access the member of this thing by doing set values, and you're going to pass in x, int y, int x, int y. To be assigned this int x will be your width. This int y will be your height. But I want you to show. I want this is incredible for you to see through the IDE, the Visual Studio. You know, in the past when you have scopes, you know, normally if you have left curly brackets and right curly brackets, the scope of that variable can only exist inside of that, between those curly brackets. Now, these two talk to each other, because to access the set value, you have to go through the colon. Alright, that goes to the class, the rectangle class. So you got both of these things talking to each other right now. Now, nothing happens yet until you got to have the int main. This is where kind of like the front door of the program. Nothing happens. You got to have a place where it pulls everything together. Let's look at this thing. Well, this is how you instantiate the object. This is your rectangular class. You notice I highlight this thing? It comes up here and highlights this rectangular class. This is my object that I just created. Okay? Remember, does this look familiar to you from chapter 7? You remember that thing that we did was back then was called enum? When you assign a data type, okay? Enum square. And then square can be what? Different type of squares. Or enum shape. You can have circle, rectangle, and all that. Well, guess what? You created an object called rect. Look at this. I have rect here. It's only contained in the scope of this. To access that, to access this object, so this rectangle has these properties and these member functions. Same thing what's going to happen inside rect. So I get, if this thing has, up here has black eye, blue eyes, you know, yellow hair with a tail, guess what? This rect will have the same thing too. Whatever properties and functions it has in this thing, its object can access everything inside of it. So to access it, I would actually use the dot syntax, 1, okay, which is different how you set your function header in this thing. To access its function, you would call the set value, which is this set value, and which is this set value. You see that? So once I call the set value, that allows me to set 3, which is what? This int right here, which calls this int, which causes this int here to pass in as x, pass in that 4 as y, and it sets it into the width and the height here. So I do have an object at this time that I created that's called set value with a dimension of 3 by 4. We're not done yet. So I need to output the area by giving it an output to the screen. I have an object now, it's called rect, and I'm going to call the area function. Whoa, Look at this area function. I get to access the area function is this right here. So this rect object, to access its object, why? Because the rectangular is this rectangular allows me to access my area. So this is going to return what? It's going to return width and height right here. Right here. Okay? So that will cover whatever the width and height may be. 3 times 4 is 12 is the area. Okay? So this is kind of like a little hard coding of demonstrating class, and for you to see class width and height with this thing. In 1437, you're going to do a lot of this. This is what I'm telling you. This is a good template to kick you off, to start you off in 1437. Of course, Java is a little slight syntax, a little different. No different concept with this. I don't want you to get too attached with the program language. It's the concept. These concepts are transferable skills in this thing. So if you did this right, when you compile, Control 5. So when I compile, this is what I got. I basically got area is 12. Okay? I hope you did that right, and if you have any question, give me a ring.